What's up, world? Let me tell you about this beard growth oil I got from 12 tribes on Earth. 8 ounces of oily goodness with a nozzle that prevents sprays and spills, and soft ingredients that make it perfect addition to anyone's morning routine. From coconut to castor, all these oils are hand chosen. After using this herbal blend, the biggest thing I noticed is how soft, how strong my hair was, and how good I feel. Pick up your bottle today and make your beard the star of the show.
Shalom, family. Good to see everybody here. Hope you're doing well. A few people were asking me to make more bundles. I will be posting brand new bundles today. One will be shampoo, the rice water conditioner, and the floral magic elixir. That's going to be one new bundle. And for the men, I'm going to have the shampoo, the beard oil, and the rice conditioner. So, you'll have that with the beard oil because somebody was asking me for that. And then I'm going to be putting together another one, which will be the shampoo, the rice water conditioner, the Botana oil, 4 ounce, and a 4 ounce of the floral magic elixir. So that you'll be seeing those posted today. All right. So it's 3 new bundles. So, everybody, and the shampoo, by the way, is still on sale. So, everybody, we're going to look at these recent interviews that Stephen Miller did. This man is nuttier than a fruitcake. I can't see how anybody listens to Stephen Miller, but these are the kind of men that Donald Trump likes in his cabinet. Even the one that took over Christy Nome position, that Mark Wayne Mullen, they said he ain't nothing but a Donald Trump butt kisser. And I believe it. See, those are the kind of people that Donald Trump like. He wants a cabinet full of people that's going to kiss his ass and never challenge him on anything. That's all he wants. And I also recently heard he's going to give Cuba to Marco Rubio. So Marco Rubio is going to be over Cuba, running and calling the shots for Cuba. But see, he's also another ass kisser. And, plus people like him think they're in close proximity to white. So I'm not surprised about that either. But y'all, because Donald Trump claims after they get done with Iran, they're going to deal with Cuba. So he pretty much starved those people into submission, starved them into submission. Unbelievable. So, that tells you right there with the kind of people that are ruling in this country and the stuff going on with Iran and him starving out Cuba and taking Venezuela, nothing good is coming for America. I hope everybody knows this. Nothing good is coming for America. You can look forward to utter destruction in this land because of the kind of things y'all do on this earth. You got a bloodlust that can never be satisfied. It can never, ever be satisfied. And it's sick. It just goes to show you the sickness of the people that are in charge. And then I was listening to a video of Donald Trump, and he was in front of reporters talking about taking out the Ayatollah. And people, some of the press was asking him, aren't you concerned about, people possibly trying to assassinate you? And he says, well, I gave my cabinet orders if I'm assassinated, they obliterate Iran. Well, first of all, you are nobody, Donald Trump. You're just something in your little Edomite kingdom. But at the end of the day, why does the a whole place got to be obliterated over you? I mean, these people, they really got themselves on a pedestal they don't belong on. You know, it, unfortunately, part of war, and these aren't the only people during a war where leadership was either replaced or taken out. It's going to always happen. Didn't that also happen to Hitler? Didn't that also happen to him? World War II? These things always happen. Why does a whole place got to be obliterated over one damn MFer? Get out of here. You folks, you really, you're a bunch of freaking psychotics. That's what's wrong with you. You can't make this world better because your mind ain't right. How do a group of people with effed up minds think they can make the world better? You can't make nothing better. Man, I mean, the sickness is just beyond, just in it's disbelief of how sick-minded these people are. And we had to put up with this shit for centuries. Oh, man. So, y'all, just get ready to hear this nonsense from Stephen Miller and just understand it's been 400 years of this BS. It's been 400 years. These kind of people have always been part of damn near every president's administration, including Barack Obama. He had old racist Joe Biden as his VP. Joe Biden, there's footage of him back in the day using the N word on the Senate floor. So these kind of folks have always been in every single president's administration. They always got to handpick these extremists, every single one. So that's all we're getting. We're just getting more of the same. They're just letting this particular extremist be very vocal. Like, this is what we need in America's final hour. Some asshole, and he's scared. And on top of that, y'all, he's scared. He packed up his family and jumped on a military base because he was scared because folks wrote in chalk outside of his house calling him out for what he really truly is and what his wife really truly is. So that warranted packing up the family and running. So, on top of being the way he is, he's a coward on top of that. All right, y'all, let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm sure you're tired of listening to me babble. Let's get on with the show. Okay. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you. And I also want y'all to notice as we move through these final days, you notice there are certain groups of people that have no humbleness. They have no humbleness. Have you seen any humbleness in Donald Trump's administration? And they literally live their entire existence like this. They feel they don't have to be humble about anything. And it shows. No wonder why the Most High said he is going to make this Gentile world pass away. None of y'all are humble. You are not humble people at all. All right, y'all. Thank you for the ones.
us or you're with the terrorists. That is essentially what President George W. Bush told the American people to justify our invasion of Iraq in the mid-2000s. Here we are 20 years later, and Donald Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, and everyone around him are repeating this exact type of shaming of the American people if we don't support another war in the Middle East. But it doesn't work. It no longer works to shame us for not wanting to be a part of endless wars. I am entirely for self-determination fights, like over in Ukraine, over in Palestine. These countries should be free with sovereign borders, but the United States striking other countries, then having our officials go on TV to yell at the American people because we don't support the strikes is a new low for this administration, and something that is very important before I play this clip of Stephen Miller. This is probably the most important point I could make, is that no matter what we were doing, Stephen Miller would be defending it. If we were invading Canada, killing Canadians, or Greenland, or bombing allies, Stephen Miller would still be frothing at the mouth on TV saying the radical lefts were overreacting. If Trump admin members began killing American citizens in the street, Stephen Miller would be on TV saying it was justified because they were radical leftists. Oh, wait. That literally already happened. ICE literally already killed multiple U.S. citizens, and Stephen Miller was the first person to be out front saying they were domestic terrorists, saying that they were, trying to inflict maximum damage on law enforcement, which is all just a complete lie. So Stephen Miller will always lie to run defense for the most extreme policy that he created. And this type of shit needs to be called out, confronted, and held accountable. So drop a like, make sure you subscribe to the Adam Mockler feed. We are going to be relentlessly covering all of this as we continue to build Mockler Media. Mockler Media is a Gen Z powerhouse with me. You guys know Chris Mowry, Micah Irfan. We've got Hayden. We've got producer Victor. We've got all of these people combined to just push the truth. Here is Stephen Miller beginning his Fox News meltdown. He always comes in with this intense, just dark energy. And in this one, he's using Iraq-esque defenses as to why we need to invade. Just take a listen.
I don't think that people understand the Trump doctrine is not isolationism. Maybe you can help set them straight, because I'm not too effective, I guess.
The president has made clear that he believes America's awesome military might should be used to protect and defend America's interests, not to surrender the world to our adversaries, to our enemies, to those who would do us harm, not to surrender the world's resources, lanes of commerce, or capacity to keep our citizens safe. No, America first means America will be the greatest, most unquestioned, unmatched power in the world. And it means we will defend American lives. And yes, we will avenge American blood. Iran has waged war against the American people, this regime, for 47 years. They took our embassy hostage.
Okay, what in the hell? This is so desperate. So their justification is now the Iran hostage crisis that happened in 1979. It was absolutely awful, but as far as I remember, Donald Trump did not run on vengeance for like 50-year-old events. Donald Trump ran on America First populism that said he would start no new wars, and he even said he ended all wars. He very clearly ran an anti-war, anti-interventionalist populist campaign. We all saw it. Not once did he run on bombing Iran or taking over Venezuela. Like, if he wanted to run on that openly, then it would be different, because the American people should have a say in our foreign policy. So for him to run and lie to the American people, then hoodwink us and pull the rug and then invade countries, that is a slap in the face. If you want to invade countries, if you want to do that, I don't agree with it, but just run on it. Run on that in the first place rather than lying to us, because I want to have a say. Most Americans want to have a say in their foreign policy. To continue with Stephen Miller.
They bombed our Marines in Beirut. They kidnapped, tortured, and murdered the CIA station chief. They have maimed and wounded and attacked thousands of American troops.
I mean, he's doing the same thing again. Quote, "You're either with us or you're with the terrorists." That was the message from George W. Bush, and that is what Stephen Miller is saying. Donald Trump did not run on righting the wrongs of Iran's attacks against America in like 2007. These things are absolutely awful, but Donald Trump ran on the exact opposite. And now we're getting pulled into another endless war that they're justifying where they have no plan whatsoever. I want to play this clip of my CNN explanation as to why this is very likely to go awful.
There is nothing I would like to see more than the dismantling of the Iranian regime, but this is an experiment that America has tried and failed for decades and decades and decades. Under Bush, who he worked for, under Obama, Trump promised to be different, but it is not different. He is continuing to make the same mistake of thinking that just because you remove the bad guy, everything is magically solved. Didn't work with Gaddafi, it got worse. Didn't work with Saddam Hussein, it got worse. You can't just remove the bad guy with no backup plan to build long-lasting institutions. And from everything we've seen from this administration, they have no plan. They have no plan on what's going to happen next. They have no transition plan. I don't think they know. They took out most of the people they were going to replace the supreme leader with. And now Marco Rubio contradicts Donald Trump. Donald Trump contradicts himself. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen doesn't seem to know what the word war even means. He's like debating himself on that every single day. We need an actual plan. I haven't seen a plan from this administration, and that's worrying to me.
That's a very, very key point that I've made in multiple videos, and I haven't even iterated yet. They have no plan.
But what you're seeing right now, Sean, is a military under President Trump's leadership that's not fighting politically correct, that isn't fighting with its hands tied behind its back. One of the reasons I fear, Sean, that some people in this country lost faith in the military and the capacity to use that military to defend us is because we had a woke Pentagon, because we had a military who at the very highest levels, not the warfighters, was forced to fight a less than full fight. What you're seeing now, Sean, is a military that is unleashed in all of its lethal prowess to go out and seek, destroy, and kill the enemy, which is what militaries are for.
The cartels that operate in this hemisphere are the ISIS and the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere, and should be treated just as brutally and just as ruthlessly as we treat those organizations. What we have learned after decades of effort is that there is not a criminal justice solution to the cartel problem. There are elements of the problem that require a criminal justice solution, to be sure, but just as we fought Al-Qaeda and fought ISIS with the tip of a very lethal spear, the reason why this is a conference with military leadership and not a conference of lawyers is because these organizations can only be defeated with military power. Century England, there have been centuries of
I want y'all to notice something. Stephen Miller is what you call a chicken hawk. Every message this dude has is about shedding blood. I kid you not. I could pull up something of him ranting a year ago. Every single message is about spilling blood, but not his, though. He would be too cowardly to go into the military. But he's one of those people that want to be in the background screaming and hollering what everybody need to do. And if you want to know why ICE have gotten more brutal out in the street, it's because of Stephen Miller. He's running it. That's what he wants to do. This man is about nothing but shedding blood, being rough, being violent. That's his whole message. That's all he ever comes out and does. That's what his whole message is all the time, y'all. All the time. I don't expect anything decent from this dude. He is a coward that likes to push everybody else out there to do the dirty work. That's all he is at this point. That's all he is.
the previous history in which ruthless means were used to get rid of the people who were raping and murdering and defying established systems of order and justice. And then when people could live freely and peaceably, and children and families and women could be safe, then it became possible to pursue all of these higher elements of life. So when people who are coming to countries like yours that have had struggles and difficulties and pains and challenges, and they're telling you anything other than first and foremost, secure your countries and your territory, they're giving you not only terrible advice, but advice if someone had come to Europe centuries ago and they had followed that advice, Europe would have never became the Europe that it eventually became. And the reason why many Western countries are struggling today is they've forgotten the eternal truth and wisdoms they once followed. And that's why here under President Trump in America, we are returning to those fundamental truths.
Breaking news, secure your territory. Stephen Miller just sent a blunt, unapologetic warning to Latin American leaders. The America First doctrine isn't just for Americans anymore. It's a survival blueprint for every nation. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller dropped a massive truth bomb on foreign heads of state, telling them to completely tune out the globalist advice that has left Western nations struggling and return to the fundamental wisdom of national sovereignty. Miller reminded these leaders that peace, family safety, and economic growth only become possible after a nation uses ruthless means to eliminate those who defy order and justice. For countries facing cartel violence, corruption, and instability, his advice was crystal clear. Prioritize the absolute security of your territory and people above all else, or face total failure. He boldly pointed out that if Europe had followed modern globalist advice centuries ago, it would never have survived. The Trump corollary is in full action. From the capture of Maduro to total border enforcement, strength governs the real world. The U.S. is enlisting regional champions to fight narco-terrorists and stop migration. Save and share.
All of that American blood spilled by this regime. And President Trump for years has said, we will not allow a regime that sheds the blood of our citizens, that menaces our people, that spreads terrorism around the world, that trains proxy armies. We will not allow that regime to have missiles that can reach our troops, that can reach our bases, that someday in the future could reach the American mainland, and certainly will not allow that regime to have nuclear weapons. But what you're seeing right now, Sean, is a military under President Trump's leadership that's not fighting politically correct, that isn't fighting with its hands tied behind its back. One of the reasons I fear, Sean, that some people in this country lost faith in the military and the capacity to use that military to defend us is because we had a woke Pentagon, because we had a military who at the very highest levels, not the warfighters, was forced to fight a less than full fight. What you're seeing now, Sean, is a military that is unleashed in all of its lethal prowess to go out and seek, destroy, and kill the enemy, which is what militaries are for.
Shock and awe.
All of that American blood spilled by this regime. And President Trump for years has said, we will not allow a regime that sheds the blood of our citizens, that menaces our people, that spreads terrorism around the world, that trains proxy armies. We will not allow that regime to have missiles that can reach our troops, that can reach our bases, that someday in the future could reach the American mainland, and certainly will not allow that regime to have nuclear weapons. But what you're seeing right now, Sean, is a military under President Trump's leadership that's not fighting politically correct, that isn't fighting with its hands tied behind its back. One of the reasons I fear, Sean, that some people in this country lost faith in the military and the capacity to use that military to defend us is because we had a woke Pentagon, because we had a military who at the very highest levels, not the warfighters, was forced to fight a less than full fight. What you're seeing now, Sean, is a military that is unleashed in all of its lethal prowess to go out and seek, destroy, and kill the enemy, which is what militaries are for.
Shock and awe.
We are not going to cede an inch of territory in this hemisphere to our enemies or our adversaries. Our national security, our homeland security, the safety and well-being of our people begins at home, begins in our neighborhood, begins in our home region. And for too long, we have allowed foreign enemies, foreign adversaries, and enemy terrorist organizations to control territory and spaces in this hemisphere where they can project power, project threats, and directly threaten the lives of your citizens and our citizens. And so under the leadership of President Trump, we are using hard power, military power, lethal force to protect and defend the American homeland. Not a single one of your nations should tolerate the existence of a single square mile of territory that is under the control of any entity other than the sovereign governments of your country. The idea that we would have in this hemisphere area that are under the physical control of foreign terrorist organizations, paramilitary organizations, is completely unacceptable. The cartels that operate in this hemisphere are the ISIS and the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere.
Stephen Miller went on CNN tonight and told Jake Tapper that nobody will stop the United States from taking Greenland. There's only 30,000 people there, and who's going to stop them? And what claim does Denmark actually have to Greenland that the United States of anybody should have control of Greenland. Just watch this.
Of the U.S. government.
Right, but can you
And
say that military action against Greenland is off the table?
It wouldn't be military action against Greenland. The Greenland has a population of 30,000 people, Jake. The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of their territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony of Denmark? The United States is the power of NATO. For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States. And so that's a conversation that we're going to have as a country. That's a process we're going to have as a community of nations.
So you can't take it off the table that the U.S. would use military force to seize Greenland.
Stephen.
Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values for schools that want federal taxpayer funding. So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful, it cannot teach its children to hate themselves and to hate their country. So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous communist woke culture that was destroying this country, where we were led to believe that men were women, that women were men, that racial discrimination was good, that merit was bad, and that safety and physical security mattered less than the feelings of liberal ideologues.
Stephen Miller said the military under Donald Trump is no longer woke, and that many Americans feel safer now than they used to before we were on the verge of World War III. Take a look at this.
What you're seeing right now, Sean, is a military under President Trump's leadership that's not fighting politically correct, that isn't fighting with its hands tied behind its back. One of the reasons I fear, Sean, that some people in this country lost faith in the military and the capacity to use that military to defend us is because we had a woke Pentagon.
They're trying to justify starting a war for absolutely no reason without the authorization of Congress by saying the military and Pentagon are no longer woke. And that comment about the military no longer having their hands tied behind their back is very concerning. War is one of the most serious decisions a country can possibly make. That is why the Constitution affords the power to declare war to Congress, because sending American citizens into conflict should never be a unilateral decision. Additionally, after coming from a classified briefing about Iran, Senator Elizabeth Warren said that Donald Trump was not prepared to enter this war whatsoever, and he just jumped into it impulsively.
Huge problem. And Alyssa Slotkin has voted to confirm a lot of Trump's appointees. And so this is my thing. Like, there are some people that are establishment Democrats that aren't in politics, that are online saying you can't criticize Joe Biden, you can't criticize this person. And that is what we criticize MAGA for. We criticize them for just going along with this cult-like mentality. What it appears to me is happening more than anything is you have Chuck Schumer, who is a hardline Israel supporter. He said 3 weeks ago that one of his main jobs as senator was to make sure that Israel received all of the funding that it could. He's not coming out guns blazing, metaphorically speaking, saying absolutely no more. We're not doing this. We learned a lesson. Sorry, Bibi. I know this has been your dream for 40 years. Not on our dime. Our infrastructure is failing. We are in the throes of a fascist takeover. But how do we defeat fascism? And how do we defeat authoritarianism when the second our fascist leader colludes with another fascist leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, and they start carpet bombing Tehran, a city that's densely populated with 10 million people, and they're obeying? It's stunning. And so this gets even worse. Ruben Gallego came out first, and he was all on Twitter and all on the news shows talking about this war is dumb, this is stupid. Appeared like he had moral clarity. Well, of course, he's an establishment Democrat, and that was short-lived. Pop this up. Ruben Gallego was one of the few Democrats giving concise and clear statements about why this war is so bad. But he's going to vote to fund it. So all of those statements were just nom-noms for gullible people desperately wanting some leaders of characters. All lies. Huffington Post reports Senator Ruben Gallego says he'll vote to fund Iran war one day after calling it dumb, while the Arizona Democrat said the conflict wasn't in America's best interest, he told CNN's Caitlin Collins he'd have the Pentagon's back. So you're going to have the Pentagon's back. The Pentagon that is erasing Black service members, the Pentagon that is saying women should not be on the battlefield, a racist, homophobic, misogynistic Pentagon. And our Democratic senators are saying they're going to have the Pentagon's back, and you're going to send, and they're talking about troops on the ground, having the
You know, the Most High is brilliant, y'all. Look at the kind of people that Donald Trump got in his cabinet, and look at what they are concerned about. Oh, we don't want a woke Pentagon. But you know what? That's a beautiful thing. That means they don't want our people involved. And like she said, they're getting rid of Black soldiers, just like Jennifer right here from I've Had It. And that's a beautiful thing. That means many of our people won't be in harm's way. If they think they can make it on what they call a military that's not woke, well, now they got their chance to prove that an all-white military can go over there and get the job done. We know that's not going to happen because historically, our people always had to step in. It is a fact. And it's not going to be any different now. See, they're talking a lot of big crap, but wait until the bodies start stacking up. Look, y'all, I promise you, even still, Stephen Miller, you going to hear them come out singing a whole different tune. You watch. It never fails. The best thing for our people to do, if the military dismissed our men over razor bumps or any other remedial reason to get you out because they don't want DEI, when they come looking for you, say no. Say no. Seriously. They don't get the flip-flop on everybody like that. And trust me, the longer this conflict goes on, war, because that's what it is, the longer it goes on, the bodies are going to pile up. And see, one thing I know about America, with every war, when the bodies start piling up, the media is going to suddenly shift and you won't see any bodies coming in. See, you seeing the first few come in now. But when it gets overwhelming, they're going to stop showing it. That's what they're going to do. They do this with every single war, y'all. Every single one. And they're going to do it this time around as well. They are. You people are not even, it's going to get to the point where people won't even inquire about all the bodies coming in anymore because the media is going to pull their little switcheroo thing and not talk about it. You won't see it. And this is another reason why your rulership need to come to an end, because all you're about is deception, always trying to deceive somebody, always trying to lie to somebody, always trying to cover stuff up. The world don't need that. This is exactly, everything you display is exactly what the world don't need. And see, Stephen Miller, he's about harming people as long as he gets to hide on a military base somewhere. We don't need this anymore. Here's the problem. Y'all don't believe that fear can wear off. People can overcome fear. You can try to instill fear in somebody all you want. At the end of the day, people can overcome fear. This is why in real life, bullies always get their day. because eventually they're going to just bully the wrong one and somebody's going to step up, or the people they're bothering is finally going to do something about it. And these folks really don't believe that this can happen to them. That's why a Stephen Miller can keep getting in front of the camera talking all kinds of crap. In their minds, the Most High really got them conditioned into believing they are untouchable. They're about to find out they are going to be the most touchable people on the earth. I think all it's going to take, y'all, is Iran to really get to the American people in a big way. Once that happens, nobody on this earth is going to be afraid of the U.S. anymore. I really, truly believe that. And we're not that far off from that happening. Look at how they're talking. Oh, we can't rule out that there won't be attacks on U.S. soil. They know what's coming. They know what's coming, y'all. They do. And if you've been in the truth, you know, and you've known for a long time what's coming for America. We are here. You know, I want y'all to think about this. We have been talking about for a long time that the war was on a spiritual level. It was on a spiritual level. Now, the Most High has made the war physical. So you know it's nothing left but the final blow that will bring this Gentile world to an end. So now it's no longer spiritual. It's still spiritual, but it's also physical now. We are there. We are there. Okay. So let Stephen Miller run his mouth and keep getting on camera because he's only making the judgment worse. People like him are just making America's judgment worse. And I promise you, when the war comes to American soil, Stephen Miller will be hiding like a little bitch down in some bunker. That's where he will be. He won't be in front of the cameras talking all tough anymore. He's going to take his little bitch ass and go underground. That's what he's going to do. Okay? That's what a little bald-headed bitch does. So that's all he's going to do. He's going to go in the ground like a damn coward. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. I deeply appreciate it. And my next live coming up will be at 1:45. So if you can be there, I will see you there. So that one is going to be on Americans. I got more videos of Americans saying they can't make it. They can't make it. Their incomes are not enough. The inflation is not going down. They are struggling bad. And they don't understand. We are in the final days. Financially, things are not going to get better for these Gentiles. They had it good for a long time. Now we're just at the point it's over. It's over. But what they don't realize is when our people were struggling for these last centuries, they sat around and laughed and called us lazy, claimed we didn't apply ourselves, we didn't work hard enough. But you notice, for them, oh, that's not it. It's not that I'm not trying. It's not that I'm not working hard. Oh, well, those are the claims you made when it came down to us. But now you can't make it financially. Oh, it's none of those things. It's really bad. It's a bad economy. It's this, it's that. But it's not that you're lazy and not applying yourself and not pulling yourself up. Oh, it's none of them things, right? See, all of that hypocrisy has caught up to you. And that's all I got to say. I will see you at 1:45. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for your support, and have a wonderful afternoon. Shalom, family.